I destroyed a marriage. Not by accident. On purpose. I'm a marriage counselor. Was. I had a 98% success rate. 7 years, 97 couples saved. I knew every rule, every boundary, every line you don't cross. And then he walked into my office. Kwon Ji-hoon. Married 8 years. Sitting next to his wife who smiled while she slowly erased him. And I watched him try to speak and fail. Watched him apologize for breathing. Watched him disappear right in front of me. And I realized I was falling in love with a married man I was supposed to be helping. His wife found out, recorded everything, threatened to destroy me. I lost my license. He lost his marriage. We lost everything. And I'd do it again. Because some people are worth the fall. This is what happened.
Zara had saved 97 marriages before she destroyed one. The marriage she destroyed wasn't failing. It was thriving, at least on paper. 8 years. No infidelity. No financial problems. No obvious cracks. Just a wife who scheduled therapy appointments and a husband who showed up looking like he was apologizing for existing. That should have been her first clue. Session 1. Kwon Ji-hoon sat in the chair across from her with his spine too straight, his hands folded too perfectly in his lap, his shoulders curved inward like he was trying to take up less oxygen. His wife, Min Soo-yeon, sat beside him in a cream designer suit, one leg crossed over the other, phone in her hand. "We're here," Soo-yeon said, not looking up from her screen, "because my husband thinks we have problems." Zara looked at Ji-hoon. He said nothing. Just stared at his hands. "Is that true, Ji-hoon?" Zara kept her voice gentle. "Do you think you have problems?" He opened his mouth. Closed it. Glanced at his wife. Soo-yeon smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "See? This is what I mean. He overthinks everything. Makes issues out of nothing. I love him, Dr. Okafor, but sometimes I wonder if he's just. I don't know. Difficult for the sake of being difficult." Ji-hoon's jaw tightened. His knuckles went white. Zara had been doing this for 7 years. She knew the signs. The flinch when a spouse spoke. The silence that wasn't peace, it was fear. The way Ji-hoon looked at his wife like he was waiting for permission to breathe. She knew exactly what this was. And she should have referred them to someone else. Should have said she wasn't the right fit. Should have protected herself from what was about to happen. She didn't. "Let's start with something simple," Zara said, pulling out her notebook. "Ji-hoon, tell me about a moment in your marriage when you felt truly happy." Ji-hoon stared at her. Blinked. His mouth opened, and for 5 long seconds, nothing came out. Soo-yeon laughed. Soft. Affectionate. Condescending. "Baby, you're doing it again. It's not a hard question." Ji-hoon's voice cracked. He cleared his throat. "I'm trying to think. How long do you need to think about being happy?" Soo-yeon's smile stayed in place. "We went to Jeju last month. The resort. You said you loved it." "I did," Ji-hoon said quickly. Too quickly. "It was nice." "Nice," Soo-yeon repeated. She looked at Zara. "See what I mean? Everything's just nice. Or fine. Or okay. Never great. Never enough. I plan trips, I make dinners, I do everything to make him happy, and it's always just nice." Zara wrote 2 words in her notebook: gaslighting. Coercion. She underlined them twice. "Soo-yeon," Zara said carefully, "I'd like to spend a few minutes speaking with Ji-hoon alone. Just to get his individual perspective. Then I'll do the same with you. It's standard practice." Soo-yeon's smile faltered. "Just for a second. I thought couples therapy meant we talk together." "We will. But I find it helpful to hear from each partner separately first. Build trust." Zara kept her tone professional. Firm. "It won't take long." Soo-yeon stood. Smoothed her skirt. "Of course. Whatever you think is best, Dr. Okafor." She looked at Ji-hoon. "Don't say anything embarrassing, baby." She said it like a joke. It wasn't. The door closed behind her. The air in the room changed immediately. Ji-hoon exhaled like he'd been holding his breath underwater. "You okay?" Zara asked. He nodded. Didn't look at her. "Ji-hoon." She waited until he met her eyes. "You don't have to protect her in here. This is your space too." His eyes glistened. He blinked hard. "I don't know what you want me to say. The truth. When was the last time you felt happy? Really happy?" Not nice. Not fine. Happy. He stared at his hands. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. I don't remember. Zara's chest tightened. How long have you been married? 8 years. And you don't remember the last time you were happy? He shook his head. Do you remember the last time you felt safe? His breath hitched. He didn't answer. He didn't have to. Zara set down her pen. Leaned forward. Jihoon, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Does your wife hurt you? No. The answer came too fast. Rehearsed. She doesn't hit me or anything. She's not like that. I didn't ask if she hits you. I asked if she hurts you. Jihoon's face crumpled. He covered it with his hands. His shoulders shook. Zara grabbed the tissue box and held it out. He took one. Then another. Then he just held the box in his lap like a lifeline. I'm sorry, he choked out. I shouldn't, I'm being dramatic. You're not. She's right. I overthink. I make things harder than they are. I'm. Jihoon. Zara's voice was steady. Strong. Listen to me. You are allowed to feel hurt. You are allowed to name it. And nothing you've said so far sounds like overthinking. It sounds like survival. He looked up at her. His eyes were red, wet, desperate. I don't know how to leave. And that's when Zara knew she was in trouble. Because the way he looked at her in that moment, like she was the first person in 8 years who'd told him he mattered, made something crack open in her chest. She was supposed to be professional. Detached. Objective. She wasn't detached anymore. When Suyan came back into the room 15 minutes later, she took one look at Jihoon's face and her expression went cold. What did you say to him? Suyan's voice was ice. We just talked, Zara said evenly. About his feelings. His experience of the marriage. And you made him cry. I didn't make him do anything. I gave him space to be honest. Suyan sat down. Crossed her legs. Folded her hands. Her smile was back, but it was sharp now. Dangerous. Dr. Okafor, I don't know what my husband told you, but I need you to understand something. Jihoon has issues. He's sensitive. He misinterprets things. I've spent 8 years trying to help him manage his emotions, and it's exhausting. So if he painted me as some kind of villain, I need you to know that's not reality. That's his perception. And his perception is often wrong. Jihoon flinched. Zara kept her face neutral. I'm not here to decide who's right or wrong. I'm here to help you both communicate more effectively. Good. Suyan's smile widened. Because I don't think we need someone telling Jihoon his feelings are valid when his feelings are usually just anxiety spirals. What we need is someone who can help him see reality. Zara wrote one more word in her notebook, run. She should have. Right then. Should have told them she wasn't a good fit. Should have handed them 3 referrals and wished them well. But when she looked at Jihoon, at the way he'd folded into himself again, at the way his breathing had gone shallow, at the way he looked at his wife like she was a loaded gun, Zara couldn't do it. She couldn't abandon him. So she scheduled session 2. That night, Zara sat in her apartment and stared at her session notes. She'd written 4 pages. Front and back. Every red flag catalogued. Every microaggression documented. Every moment Suyan had undermined, dismissed, or invalidated Jihoon's reality. Her phone buzzed. A text from her best friend, Amara. How was work? Zara stared at the message. Typed, I think I just took on a case I shouldn't have. Why? Because I want to save him more than I want to save the marriage. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. That's bad, Zed, I know. Refer them out. Tomorrow. Before this gets messy. Zara set the phone down. Amara was right. She knew Amara was right. But when she closed her eyes, all she saw was Jihoon's face. The way he'd looked at her when she said he was allowed to feel hurt. Like she'd given him permission to exist. She didn't refer them out. Session 2. Jihoon came alone. Suyan's running late, he said, hovering in the doorway. She said to start without her. If that's okay. It wasn't okay. It violated protocol. Both parties needed to be present or the session should be rescheduled. That's fine, Zara said. Come in. He sat. Same chair. Same posture. But this time, when he looked at her, there was something different in his eyes. Hope, maybe. Or hunger for something he'd been starved of. How was your week? Zara asked. Fine. Jihoon. He smiled. Small. Sad. Bad. It was bad. What happened? She was angry about last session. Said I made her look bad. Said you probably think she's abusive now. He looked down. I told her that's not what happened. That we just talked. But she didn't believe me. What did she do? She didn't talk to me for 3 days. Slept in the guest room. Ate dinner without me. Acted like I didn't exist. His voice cracked. And then on the 4th day, she woke me up with breakfast in bed and said she forgave me. That she knew I didn't mean to hurt her. That she loved me anyway. Zara's stomach turned. How did that make you feel? Grateful, he said it automatically. Then stopped. No. That's what I'm supposed to feel. What I actually felt was relieved. That the silent treatment was over. That I could stop walking on eggshells. Do you walk on eggshells a lot? He laughed. It was hollow. I don't remember the last time I didn't. They talked for 30 minutes. No Suyan. No interruptions. Just Jihoon, slowly unfurling like something that had been clenched too tight for too long. He told her about his job. He was a graphic designer. Used to love it. Didn't anymore. Suyan said he was wasting his talent working for a small firm. Said he should be at a big company. Making more money. Being more ambitious. Do you want to be at a big company? Zara asked. I don't know what I want anymore, Jihoon admitted. I used to know. But she's usually right about things. She's smarter than me. More successful. I trust her judgment. More than you trust your own? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. When the session ended, Jihoon stood. Hesitated. Thank you, he said quietly. For listening. I know I'm probably wasting your time. You're not. Suyan says I talk too much about my feelings. That I should just get over things. Zara stood too. They were close now. Too close. She should step back. Your feelings aren't something to get over, Jihoon. They're data. They're telling you something important. And you're allowed to listen. His eyes met hers. Held. Something passed between them. Something neither of them could name. I should go, he said. Yeah. He didn't move. Neither did she. Finally, he turned and walked out. Zara stood in the empty room and pressed her palms against her desk, trying to steady her breathing. This was bad. This was so bad. She texted Amara, I'm in trouble. What happened? He came alone. We talked for 30 minutes. And I didn't want him to leave. Zara. No. I know. End this. Now. Refer them. This is how you lose your license. I know. But she didn't end it. Session 3. Both of them showed up. Suyan was 15 minutes late. Didn't apologize. Just sat down and said, let's get started. Zara tried to focus on the marriage. On communication patterns. On conflict resolution strategies. But every time she asked Jihoon a question, Suyan answered for him. Every time he tried to speak, she cut him off. Every time Zara redirected to give him space, Suyan smiled and said, sorry, Dr. Okafor. I just know him so well. Sometimes I forget to let him finish his own sentences. Jihoon said nothing. Just sat there. Disappearing. Halfway through the session, Zara's phone buzzed. She ignored it. It buzzed again. And again. Do you need to get that? Suyan asked, eyebrow raised. No. I'm sorry. I'll silence it. But when she glanced at the screen, her stomach dropped. 3 texts from the office manager. Emergency. Client in crisis. Need you ASAP. Disregard. False alarm. Sorry. Actually, can you call when you're free? Not urgent but important. Zara looked up. I apologize. I need to step out for just one moment. I'll be right back. She walked into the hallway. Closed the door. Pulled out her phone and called the office. Hey, sorry, the manager said. It's handled. Just a scheduling thing. Didn't mean to interrupt. No problem. She hung up. Stood there for a second. And then she heard voices through the door. Suyan's voice. Sharp. Low. Told you not to cry in front of her. I didn't. You did. Last session. You made me look like a monster. I didn't say anything bad about you. I swear. Then why did she look at me like that? Like I'm the problem? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe you need to remember who takes care of you. Who pays for this apartment? Who kept you employed when your firm was downsizing? Maybe you need to remember that without me, you'd be nothing. Silence. Then Jihoon's voice, small and broken, I remember. Zara's hand tightened on the doorknob. Every muscle in her body screamed to walk back in there. To say something. To stop this. But she couldn't. Not without proof. Not without risking the entire case. So she waited. Counted to 10. Walked back in like she'd heard nothing. Soo-yin's smile was back in place. Everything okay? Yes. Just a scheduling issue. Zara sat down. Looked at Jihoon. His face was blank. Empty. Where were we? They finished the session. Scheduled session 4. Soo-yin left first. Jihoon lingered. Dr. Okafor? His voice was quiet. Yes. Do you think? He stopped. Started again. Do you think I'm being dramatic? About my marriage? Zara looked at him. Really looked at him. At the exhaustion carved into his face. At the way he held himself like he was bracing for impact. No, she said. I don't think you're being dramatic. I think you're surviving. His eyes filled. Thank you. And then he left. Zara sat in the empty room and put her head in her hands. Because she'd just crossed a line. She'd validated him. Taken his side. Stopped being neutral. She'd stopped being his therapist. She was becoming something else. And the worst part? She didn't want to stop. Session 4. Jihoon came alone again. Soo-yin had a work emergency, he said, standing in the doorway with his coat still on. She said she'd try to make it, but I should start without her. Zara knew this was a test. Soo-yin was watching. Waiting to see if Zara would break protocol again. Waiting to catch her in something she could use later. We can reschedule, Zara said. Please don't. The desperation in his voice was raw. I just need an hour where I don't have to pretend everything's fine. Zara should have said no. Should have held the boundary. Should have protected herself and her license and her career. Come in, she said. He sat. This time, his shoulders weren't quite as hunched. This time, he looked at her instead of his hands. How was your week? Zara asked. Horrible, he said it without hesitation. She found my journal. I've been writing in it since our first session. Just thoughts. Feelings. Things I can't say out loud. She read all of it. Zara's chest tightened. What happened? She said I was documenting evidence against her. Building a case. That I was planning to leave her and take everything. His laugh was bitter. I wasn't. I was just trying to figure out what I'm feeling. But now she thinks I'm plotting. So she took my laptop. My phone password. She checks everything now. Every text. Every email. She says it's to rebuild trust. Trust that you broke by having private thoughts. Jihoon looked at her. Something shifted in his expression. You think that's wrong. What she's doing. I think your thoughts belong to you. She says married people don't have secrets. Privacy isn't the same as secrecy. That's what I said. His voice cracked. And she cried. Said I was choosing a journal over her. That if I loved her, I wouldn't need to write things down. I'd just talk to her. So I apologized. I threw the journal away. And now he stopped. Pressed his palms against his eyes. Now I don't know what's real anymore. Is she right? Am I the problem? Zara wanted to reach across the space between them. Wanted to take his hands and tell him no, you're not the problem, you're being abused. But she couldn't. Not yet. Not without destroying any credibility she had left. Jihoon, she said carefully, can I ask you something? Yeah. If a friend came to you and told you their partner read their journal without permission, took their devices, monitored their communications, and made them apologize for having private thoughts, what would you tell that friend? He was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was barely audible. I'd tell them to leave. And why haven't you? Because I don't have friends anymore. She says they were bad influences. That they didn't understand our relationship. So I stopped seeing them. And my family, they're in Busan. We don't talk much. She says they're too traditional. Too judgmental. So it's just us now. Just her. And if I leave, I have no one. You'd have yourself. He looked up. His eyes were swimming. I don't know who that is anymore. And that's when Zara felt it. The pull. The overwhelming need to fix this, to save him, to be the person who reminded him he was worth saving. It wasn't professional. It wasn't appropriate. It was human. And it was dangerous. I think you're stronger than you believe, Zara said quietly. And I think the fact that you're here, that you're naming what's happening, that you're asking these questions, that takes courage. I don't feel brave. I feel pathetic. You're not pathetic. You're surviving an impossible situation. Jihoon stood abruptly. Paced to the window. Stared out at the city. Can I tell you something? Of course. I look forward to these sessions more than anything else in my life. This hour. This room. Talking to you. It's the only time I feel like I can breathe. He turned to face her. Is that pathetic? No. It feels pathetic. Jihoon. And I know I shouldn't say that. I know it's weird. You're my therapist. You're doing your job. But I can't stop thinking about. He stopped. Shook his head. Never mind. Thinking about what? He looked at her. Really looked at her. What it would be like if we met under different circumstances. If I wasn't married. If you weren't my therapist. If I was just someone you wanted to know. The air in the room changed. Zara's heart was hammering against her ribs. This was the moment. The cliff. She could step back, reinforce boundaries, shut this down. Or she could jump. I think about that too, she said. The words hung between them. Irreversible. Damning. Jihoon crossed the room. Stopped 2 feet from her chair. You do? I shouldn't. But yes. Why shouldn't you? Because you're my client. Because you're married. Because this is exactly how I lose everything I've worked for. She stood. They were close now. Too close. Because wanting you is the most unprofessional thing I've ever felt and I can't make it stop. His breath hitched. Zara. Don't. She stepped back. Put the desk between them. Don't say whatever you're about to say. Because once we cross this line, we can't uncross it. And I need you to be sure. I need you to know what this costs. What does it cost? My career. Your marriage. Any credibility either of us has left. She gripped the edge of the desk. And I'll still do it. If you ask me to. That's how far gone I already am. Jihoon stared at her. His chest was rising and falling too fast. I should go. Yeah. You should. He didn't move. Neither did she. The space between them felt like static electricity. Like standing too close to a live wire. Next week, Jihoon said finally. Session 5. Will you be here? I'll be here. He nodded. Turned. Walked to the door. Stopped with his hand on the handle. Zara? Yeah? Thank you. For seeing me. Really seeing me. And then he left. Zara sank into her chair and covered her face with her hands. What the hell was she doing? What the hell had she just admitted? Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Suyan. Jihoon's wife. I think we need to talk. Privately. Zara stared at the message. Her blood went cold. About what? About the fact that my husband is in love with his therapist. And what we're going to do about it. If you're feeling this tension, drop a comment right now. Tell me, has Zara already gone too far, or is she just being honest? And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button. Because this is about to get so much worse. Zara didn't respond to the text. Didn't call. Didn't acknowledge it. She deleted the message and told herself it was a bluff. A manipulation. Suyan couldn't know anything because nothing had happened. Just words. Just a conversation that crossed a line but didn't break it. She was lying to herself. She knew it. That night, Zara couldn't sleep. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying the session. Jihoon's face. His voice. I think about what it would be like if we met under different circumstances. The way he'd looked at her when she said she thought about it too. Her phone buzzed at 2 a.m. Another text from Suyan. You didn't respond. That's fine. But you should know I have recordings. Every session. Audio. You've been very careful not to say anything overtly inappropriate. But intentions are clear. I'm giving you a chance to refer us out gracefully before this becomes a problem. Zara sat up. Typed. Recording therapy sessions without consent is illegal. 3 dots. Then, so is falling in love with your client's husband. Zara threw her phone across the room. Session 5. Both of them showed up. Suyan sat with her legs crossed, phone in her lap, that same cold smile on her face. Jihoon looked like he hadn't slept in days. Thank you for seeing us, Dr. Okafor, Suyan said sweetly. I know last week was unusual. Jihoon coming alone. I hope that wasn't inappropriate. It's within protocol, Zara said evenly. Good. Because I'd hate for there to be any ethical violations. Suyan's smile widened. You understand how important ethics are. In your profession. Jihoon looked at the floor. Of course, Zara said. Wonderful. So today, I think we should talk about boundaries. Specifically, the boundaries between therapist and client. Because I'm concerned that Jihoon might be developing an unhealthy attachment. To you. Zara kept her expression neutral. Attachment in therapy is normal. It's called transference. It's actually a tool we can use to explore. I'm not talking about transference, Suyan interrupted. I'm talking about my husband telling me he thinks about you when he's lying next to me at night. I'm talking about him saying your name in his sleep. I'm talking about the way he looks at you like you're the only person in the room. Jihoon's head snapped up. I never said. Didn't you? Suyan's voice was sharp. You think I don't notice? You think I'm stupid? No, I just. Jihoon. Zara's voice cut through. Calm. Steady. Take a breath. He did. His hands were shaking. Suyan leaned back. See? This is what I mean. He listens to you more than he listens to me. His wife. The woman he's been with for 8 years. Suyan, Zara said carefully, it sounds like you're feeling threatened by the therapeutic relationship. That's understandable. But part of therapy is creating a safe space for Jihoon too. A safe space, Suyan laughed. Is that what you call it? A safe space where my husband fantasizes about his therapist? That's not what's happening, Jihoon said quietly. Then what is happening? Suyan turned to him. Explain it to me. Because from where I'm sitting, you've been pulling away for weeks. You don't touch me. You don't talk to me. You spend all your time thinking about these sessions. So tell me, Jihoon. What exactly is happening? He looked at Zara. Just for a second. And in that second, everything Suyan had accused them of became visible. I'm trying to figure out who I am, Jihoon said finally. Outside of us. Outside of what you think I should be. And she's helping you with that? Suyan gestured at Zara. By making you think I'm the villain? I never said. You don't have to say it. I can see it. The way you look at her. The way you've stopped looking at me. Suyan's voice cracked. Actual emotion. Or performance? Zara couldn't tell any more. I'm losing you. To your therapist. Jihoon stood abruptly. I need air. He walked out. The door slammed behind him. Suyan waited exactly 3 seconds. Then she turned to Zara, and the tears were gone. The mask was off. Here's what's going to happen, Suyan said quietly. You're going to refer us to someone else. You're going to cite a conflict of interest. And you're going to never speak to my husband again. And if I don't? Then I'll release the recordings. Edited, of course. To show a therapist manipulating a vulnerable client. Encouraging him to leave his marriage. Crossing boundaries. I have timestamps. I have context. I have everything I need to destroy your career. Zara's jaw tightened. You're bluffing. Try me. Suyan stood. Smoothed her skirt. You have until our next session to decide. Oh, and Dr. Okafor? If you warn Jihoon about this conversation, I'll know. And I'll make sure he knows you chose your career over him. She left. Zara sat in the empty office and felt the walls closing in. This was checkmate. Suyan had outplayed her. And the worst part? She deserved it. She'd crossed lines. She'd let her feelings compromise her judgment. She'd fallen for a client and now everyone was going to pay for it. Her phone buzzed. Jihoon. I'm sorry about what she said. Can we talk? Zara stared at the message. She should say no. Should end this before it got worse. Should save herself. Meet me at the coffee shop on 5th. 1 hour. She hit send before she could stop herself. They met in the back corner. Jihoon ordered an Americano. Zara got nothing. She couldn't stomach it. She's getting worse, Jihoon said immediately. Ever since these sessions started. She monitors everything. Questions everything. Last night she went through my emails from 3 years ago looking for evidence that I've always been planning to leave. Have you been planning to leave? I don't know. He looked at her. Maybe. Does that make me a coward? It makes you human. Suyan says I owe her. For everything she's done for me. For keeping me employed, keeping me stable, keeping me sane. Do you believe that? I used to. And now? Now I think maybe she kept me dependent. On purpose. So I'd never have the strength to walk away. He ran a hand through his hair. God, listen to me. I sound insane. You don't sound insane. You sound like someone who's finally seeing clearly. Is that what this is? Clarity. Because it feels like I'm drowning. Zara reached across the table. Stopped herself. Pulled her hand back. Jihoon, I need to tell you something. Okay. Your wife threatened me today. After you left. She has recordings of our sessions. She's going to use them to get my license revoked unless I refer you out and never speak to you again. His face went white. What? And she's right. I've crossed lines. I've let my feelings for you affect my judgment. I've stopped being your therapist and become, she stopped. I don't even know what I've become. Someone who gives a damn about me, Jihoon said. That's what you've become. That's not enough. That doesn't protect either of us from what's coming. Then what do we do? Zara looked at him. At this man who'd been beaten down so thoroughly he'd forgotten what it felt like to be treated with basic human decency. At this man she'd somehow fallen for despite every rule she'd ever followed. I refer you out, she said. You find a new therapist. And we don't see each other again. No. Jihoon. No. His voice was firm. I'm not losing you. You're the only person who's made me feel like I'm worth saving. And if that means your wife destroys both of us, then fine. But I'm not walking away from the first real thing I've felt in 8 years. The first real thing? Zara's voice broke. Jihoon, this isn't real. This is transference and trauma bonding and two broken people reaching for something that feels like safety. Is that what you think this is? I don't know what this is. But I know it's going to ruin us. Then let it ruin us. He leaned forward. Because going back to that marriage will kill me. Slowly. And I'd rather burn fast with you than suffocate for the rest of my life with her. Zara closed her eyes. You don't mean that. I do. You're not thinking clearly. For the first time in years, I am. They sat in silence. The coffee shop buzzed around them. Normal people having normal conversations. Living normal lives that didn't include ethical violations and recordings and marriages crumbling in real time. I can't be your therapist anymore, Zara said finally. I know. And I can't be anything else while you're still married. I know that too. So what are we doing? Jihoon looked at her. I'm filing for divorce. Tomorrow. And then I'm going to wait. However long it takes. And when it's done, when I'm free, I'm going to ask if you'll have dinner with me. As two people who met under the worst circumstances and somehow found something worth fighting for. And if I say no? Then I'll have still left. And that'll be enough. Zara wanted to tell him not to do it. That leaving a marriage for your therapist was a disaster. That this would end badly for everyone. But when she opened her mouth, what came out was, okay. Okay? File for divorce. Get free. And then we'll see. He smiled. Actually smiled. Yeah. Yeah. They stood. Jihoon reached for her hand. Stopped. Not yet. Not yet, she agreed. He left first. Zara sat there for another 20 minutes, staring at her untouched water glass, and wondered what the hell she'd just agreed to. Her phone buzzed. Suyan. I know you met with him. I know everything. Last chance, Dr. Okafor. Walk away. Zara typed back, no. And hit send. Jihoon filed for divorce 3 days later. Suyan retaliated within hours. The first email hit Zara's inbox at 9 in the morning. Subject line, ethics complaint, Dr. Zara Okafor. It was from the State Licensing Board. Attached were audio files, transcripts, and a 15-page letter detailing every conversation, every glance, every boundary Zara had crossed over the past 6 weeks. Suyan hadn't just recorded the sessions. She'd hired someone to edit them. Clip them. Rearrange them until Zara sounded predatory. Until Jihoon sounded like a victim. Until the entire narrative became, therapist seduces vulnerable married client. The second email came an hour later. From the practice where Zara worked. Suspended pending investigation. Effective immediately. The third email never came. Because Suyan showed up in person. Zara was packing her office when the door opened. Suyan walked in wearing all black, heels clicking against the floor, phone in hand like a weapon. You should have listened, Suyan said. Zara didn't look up. Just kept packing books into boxes. Get out. This is what happens when you try to take what's mine. He's not yours. He's a human being. Not property. Suyan laughed. Sharp and cold. You really think you're the hero in this story? You think you saved him? I think I gave him permission to save himself. No. You gave him an exit strategy wrapped in therapy speak and false validation. Suyan stepped closer. He was fine before you. Stable. Manageable. And now he's filing for divorce, ruining both our reputations, throwing away 8 years because his therapist made him feel special for 50 minutes a week. Zara finally looked up. You mean you were fine? You had him exactly where you wanted him. Small. Quiet. Convinced he was the problem. And the second someone told him the truth, your entire system fell apart. The truth? Suyan's voice rose. The truth is that you're a predator in a blazer. You saw a vulnerable man and you exploited him. I saw an abused man and I couldn't look away. Abuse, Suyan spat the word. I loved him. I took care of him. I built a life with him. And you destroyed it because you were lonely and he looked at you like you were special. You gaslit him for 8 years. You isolated him from everyone who cared about him. You monitored his every move and convinced him he was crazy for wanting basic human dignity. That's not love. That's control. Suyan's face twisted. You have no idea what our marriage was like. I know exactly what it was like. I heard it in every session. I saw it in the way he flinched when you spoke. In the way he apologized for existing. And you thought you could fix him. Suyan smiled. Cruel. You can't. He's broken. And the second he realizes you're not the fantasy he built in his head, he'll crumble. Just like he always does. Get out of my office. Gladly. Suyan turned to leave. Stopped at the door. Oh, and Dr. Okafor? The ethics hearing is in 2 weeks. I'll be testifying. See you there. She left. Zara sank into her chair and put her head in her hands. This was it. This was how it ended. Not with a choice. With consequences. Her phone buzzed. Jihoon. I heard about the complaint. I'm so sorry. This is my fault. Zara typed back, it's not your fault. It's mine. I knew the risks. Can I see you? She should say no. Should maintain distance. Should protect whatever credibility she had left. My apartment. 7 p.m. Jihoon showed up at 7 on the dot. He looked wrecked. Hair disheveled. Eyes red. Hands shaking when he knocked. Zara opened the door. Come in. He stepped inside. Looked around at her small apartment. The books on every surface. The plants she kept forgetting to water. The life he'd never seen before. I'm destroying you, he said. You're not. The complaint. Your job. Your license. This is because of me. This is because I made a choice. And I'd make it again. Why? His voice cracked. Why would you do that? Why would you risk everything for me? Zara closed the distance between them. Because when I look at you, I don't see someone broken. I see someone brave enough to ask for help. Someone strong enough to leave. Someone worth the risk. I'm not worth this. Yes, you are. Zara. She kissed him. She didn't plan to. Didn't think about it. Just reached up and pulled him down and kissed him like she'd been wanting to for 6 weeks. Like the world was ending and this was the last thing that mattered. He kissed her back. Desperate. Grateful. Terrified. His hands found her waist. Hers tangled in his hair. And for 30 seconds, nothing else existed. Not the ethics complaint. Not the suspended license. Not the divorce or the recordings or the consequences waiting to destroy them both. Just this. Just them. Just the feeling of something real in a world that had been fake for too long. When they broke apart, they were both breathing hard. Foreheads pressed together. Hearts hammering. We can't do this, Zara whispered. Not yet. Not until the divorce is final. Not until the hearing is over. I know. But I want to. I know that too. He stepped back. Put space between them. I should go. Yeah. But he didn't move. Neither did she. They just stood there, staring at each other, memorizing the moment before everything fell apart. 2 weeks, Jihoon said. The ethics hearing. I'm testifying on your behalf. You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. Because you're right. About everything. About Suyan. About me. About what I deserve. And if standing up in front of that board and telling the truth costs me whatever's left of my reputation, I'll do it. For you. Zara's eyes burned. Jihoon. I'm in love with you, he said it simply. Plainly. Like it was the most obvious thing in the world. I know it's fast. I know it's messy. I know it started in the worst possible way. But it's true. And I need you to know that before this all goes to hell, I'm in love with you too. He smiled. Sad and soft. Yeah. Yeah. Then we'll survive this. I hope so. He left. Zara closed the door and slid down to the floor, back against the wood, and cried for the first time since this whole thing started. The next 2 weeks were a blur of lawyers and depositions and panic attacks at 3 a.m. Zara's friends told her to settle. To accept a censure. To avoid the hearing and move on. But she couldn't. Because settling meant admitting she'd done something wrong. And she hadn't. She'd fallen in love. That wasn't a crime. It was just bad timing. Jihoon moved out of the apartment he'd shared with Suyeon. Got a studio in a part of town where rent was cheap and the walls were thin. He texted Zara every day. Small things. Updates. Jokes. Pictures of the terrible coffee from the shop downstairs. She never responded with more than a few words. But she saved every message. The ethics hearing was held in a windowless conference room that smelled like old carpet and fear. Zara sat at a table with her lawyer. The board sat across from her. 5 people who would decide if she got to keep her career. Suyeon testified first. She cried. Actual tears. Talked about how she'd trusted Dr. Okafor to save her marriage and instead watched her husband fall in love with his therapist. How she'd felt betrayed. Violated. How this had destroyed her life. It was a performance. A good one. The board ate it up. Then they played the recordings. Edited. Clipped. Zara's voice saying I think about that too in response to Jihoon wondering what it would be like if they'd met differently. Zara saying you're worth saving without the context of Suyeon's abuse. Zara and Jihoon's conversations rearranged to sound like seduction instead of therapy. Zara's lawyer objected. Pointed out the edits. The missing context. The illegal recordings. But the damage was done. The board's faces said it all. Then it was Jihoon's turn. He walked to the front of the room in a suit that didn't quite fit. Hands in his pockets. Eyes on Zara. My name is Kwon Jihoon, he started. And I was Dr. Okafor's client for 6 weeks. My wife, ex-wife, would like you to believe that Dr. Okafor manipulated me. Seduced me. Destroyed my marriage. But that's not what happened. He took a breath. What happened is that I walked into her office as a man who didn't remember the last time he felt happy. A man who'd been told for 8 years that his feelings were wrong. That he was too sensitive. Too difficult. Too broken. A man who'd been isolated from his friends, his family, anyone who might tell him the truth. One of the board members leaned forward. And what truth is that, Mr. Kwon? That I was being abused. His voice didn't waver. Emotionally. Psychologically. My wife controlled every aspect of my life and convinced me it was love. And Dr. Okafor was the first person who looked at me and said, you are allowed to feel hurt. You're allowed to want more. You're allowed to leave. So she encouraged you to leave your marriage? She encouraged me to value myself. There's a difference. And did your feelings for Dr. Okafor influence your decision to file for divorce? Jihoon paused. This was the question. The one that could destroy everything. Yes, he said. The room went silent. But not in the way you think, he continued. I didn't leave my wife for Dr. Okafor. I left because Dr. Okafor showed me what it feels like to be seen. To be heard. To be treated like a human being instead of a problem to manage. And I realized I deserved that. Not from her, from anyone. From myself. So you're saying Dr. Okafor didn't cross any boundaries? Jihoon looked at Zara. I'm saying she saved my life. And if falling in love was part of that, then I'm not sorry. Neither of us should be. Suyeon's lawyer stood. Mr. Kwon, you're aware that your testimony is biased. You're emotionally involved with Dr. Okafor. I'm in love with her, Jihoon corrected. And yes, that makes me biased. But it doesn't make me wrong. The hearing lasted 4 more hours. Witnesses. Testimony. Evidence. By the end, Zara couldn't tell which way it would go. The board thanked everyone and said they'd deliver a decision within 10 days. Outside the building, Jihoon found Zara sitting on a bench. She looked exhausted. Defeated. You didn't have to do that, she said. Yes, I did. You told them you're in love with me. In front of everyone. I know. That doesn't help my case. It makes it worse. Maybe. But it's the truth. He sat beside her. And I'm done hiding the truth. Zara leaned her head on his shoulder. What if I lose my license? Then you rebuild. Somewhere else. Doing something else. I've been a therapist for 7 years. It's all I know. Then you'll learn something new. And I'll be there. You don't owe me that. I know. He took her hand. But I want to be there anyway. They sat in silence as the sun set over the city. Two people who'd met in the worst possible circumstances and somehow found something worth the cost. 10 days later, Zara got the decision. License revoked. Effective immediately. She read it 3 times. Then she set the letter down and walked to the window of her apartment. The city stretched out below her. Millions of people living normal lives. People who hadn't ruined their careers for love. Her phone rang. Ji-hoon. Did you get it? He asked. Yeah. And? I lost. Silence. Then, I'm sorry. Me too. Do you regret it? Zara thought about the question. About the $64,000 in student loans she'd taken out for grad school. About the 7 years she'd spent building a practice. About the 97 marriages she'd saved before she destroyed one. No, she said. I don't regret it. Good. Because I'm outside your building. And I have takeout. And if you let me in, we can figure out what comes next. There's no coming back from this, Ji-hoon. My career is over. Then we build a new one. Together. Zara buzzed him in. He showed up at her door with Thai food and red-rimmed eyes and a divorce decree that had been finalized that morning. I'm officially free, he said. Officially unemployed, she replied. So we're both starting over. Yeah. He set the food on her counter. Turned to face her. Zara, I know this isn't how you imagined your life going. I know I cost you everything. And if you want me to leave, I will. But if you'll have me, if you'll let me try to build something good out of this disaster, I promise I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret choosing me. Zara crossed the room. Took his face in her hands. I chose you the moment I let you into session 4. I just didn't know it yet. He kissed her. Soft. Slow. Like they had all the time in the world now. Like there were no more rules to break. No more boundaries to cross. Just two people who'd survived hell and come out holding each other's hands. What do we do now? He whispered against her lips. I don't know. But we figure it out together. Together, he repeated. And for the first time in weeks, Zara felt something other than fear. She felt hope. 2 years later, Zara opened a consulting firm. She couldn't practice therapy anymore. But she could train therapists. Teach them what she'd learned the hard way. How to hold boundaries. When to break them. How to save clients without destroying yourself. Ji-hoon worked freelance. Design projects. Branding. The kind of creative work he'd always wanted to do but never had permission to try. They got a dog. A small apartment with good light. Friday night dinners with friends Ji-hoon had reconnected with after years of isolation. Soo-yeon remarried. Someone from her firm. Someone who fit the image she wanted. Zara heard through mutual connections that she was happy. Or at least, she looked happy. That's all Soo-yeon had ever really cared about anyway. One evening, Ji-hoon and Zara sat on their tiny balcony watching the sunset. His head in her lap. Her fingers in his hair. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we'd met differently? He asked. If I'd just walked into a coffee shop and you'd been there and we'd started talking like normal people? All the time. Would it have been easier? Probably. Would it have been better? Zara thought about it. About the ethics hearing and the lost license and the nights she'd cried herself to sleep wondering if she'd made the biggest mistake of her life. About the way Ji-hoon looked at her now. Free. Happy. Whole. No, she said. I don't think it would have been better. Why not? Because easy things don't teach you anything. And what we went through taught me that some people are worth the cost. Some love is worth burning everything down for. He sat up. Turned to face her. I love you. I love you too. Even though I ruined your career? You didn't ruin my career. Soo-yeon did. And I let her. Because the alternative was walking away from you. And I couldn't do that. Was it worth it? She kissed him. Every single consequence. And she meant it. Because the truth was, Zara had saved 97 marriages before Ji-hoon. She built a career on helping people stay together. On fixing what was broken. On keeping love alive. But Ji-hoon taught her something those 97 marriages never did. Sometimes the most ethical thing you can do is help someone leave. Sometimes love isn't about staying. It's about having the courage to walk away from what's killing you and toward what makes you feel alive. Sometimes you meet the right person at exactly the wrong time. And you have to decide if you're brave enough to pay the price. Zara paid it. Lost her license. Lost her career. Lost everything she'd worked for. And gained the one thing she'd never had before. A love that didn't ask her to be smaller. A love that didn't demand she hide. A love that saw her at her most unethical, most unprofessional, most human, and stayed anyway. Was it worth it? Every board decision. Every lost client. Every judgmental look from colleagues who thought she'd thrown her life away. Yes. It was worth it. If this story hit you, if you've ever loved someone at the wrong time, if you've ever had to choose between what's right and what's real, drop a comment and tell me. And if you made it this far, subscribe. Because love stories like this, the messy, complicated ones that don't fit into neat boxes, those are the ones worth telling. This was Zara and Jihoon's story. The therapist who fell in love with her client's husband. The woman who lost everything and found the one thing that mattered. And it started with one choice. One session. One moment of seeing someone and deciding they were worth the fall. Some people will call it unethical. Unprofessional. Wrong. Zara calls it the best decision she ever made.